Hi, everybody. Welcome to Hungry for More. I'm Robin Mons, Jennifer Winder, and we are talking today about willpower. Holy cow, whenever you think of the word willpower, it's usually directly connected to dieting, is it not? That's where we're like, I need more willpower. If I just had more willpower, or I don't have enough willpower. But willpower is not just a diet thing, it's not just a food thing. And we'll talk about that more. But since we are conscious eating coaches, we are going to talk about willpower in that context. And it's a different angle, a different take. I'm going to be honest, and I want to hear from you what your experience has been with that word, but that's been an icky word to me. I've always believed I don't have enough for sure, that I'm weaker than the thing I'm trying to resist. But it also has been really fear-based for me. Like I'll exert willpower when I'm like, I can't give in to this. I don't want to. I'm not supposed to. I'm not allowed to. If I do, then this will happen. And so I'm trying to exert willpower against this fear-based type of energy. And maybe that is why I give in, because it just the fear of it or the resistance from it feels so strong. So tell me what your experience has been.
Well, I think when you say willpower, I feel like white knuckling it, right? Like, oh, I just got to hold on, or oh my gosh, that is staring me right in the face and I want to eat it, but I'm going to have the willpower. Willpower almost has a negative undertone to it. It
Mhm.
sounds like a bad thing. It
Yeah,
sounds like that's how we made it. We're going to talk a little different about it, but willpower, I think, immediately just sounds hard.
it
It's
does. Yeah,
hard, unnatural.
right. It feels like you literally, like say you sign up for a 16-week program, you literally envision yourself willpowering your way to obey that process and that program. And you know you're just going to have to dig into a ton of willpower. So again, is willpower itself a negative thing? Let's clean up the label around that. Do you have the definition in front of you?
I do. Hang on, let me get into it. I was looking it up because I wanted to see what it said willpower definition is. And it says control exerted to do something or to restrain impulses.
Okay, so by definition, that doesn't sound terrible, right? The ability to have the control not to do something that you're wanting to, but you're like, wisdom says, hey, this won't help me where I want to go, or to
Right.
do something that you don't want to, and to kind of force and push ahead anyway. So where we get the negativity around it, again, tends to be tied to food, tends to be tied to our control with food. And when we've run out of the willpower and we give in, we really beat ourselves up and we tell ourselves we're weak and that we don't have control. And again, it's just a cycle of trying to muster it up, hang on tight, like you said, white knuckles, suffer through the diet with this willpower. And it just sounds like this monumental amount of energy and control that you've got to have, or you won't make it. So
Right.
we need to correct that in right off the bat, that that's not what it means. And that, by the way, you don't have to be perfect and never step out of line and have perfect willpower in order to be successful. That's one of the biggest lies of all of this. You know, I can't lose weight if I ever step off plan. And so that's why, again, we get into this fear-based cycle with the willpower. So
Right.
understand that's important on the front end. But willpower is a strength. It's not a character trait. Okay. It's not just who you are. And some of you were blessed with some more than others. Um, it is something that exists in your brain, and it's a skill that you can expand. So I don't know if you guys have heard of, he's quite popular right now. Dr. Andrew Huberman. He's a neuroscience professor at Stanford and like the head of the lab there. So he knows his stuff, he knows the brain. And some of the material we're sharing today comes from him. And he talks about how there's the place that this muscle, I'm calling it a muscle, it's not literally a muscle, okay? But the place where willpower and tenacity is like the determination not to quit. It's just like, I won't quit. I'm going to keep going. This is impacts the anterior mid cingulate cortex. Okay, that's about as scientific and I'm going to get with terms, but there is an actual place in the brain where you can expand this. He talks about the neuroplasticity of this part of the brain, meaning it can move, it can expand and grow, and it can also shrink. When you live a life without any resistance and you just give it, well, I wanted to, so I did, or I didn't want to and I didn't, you're not going to have this very expanded. And the way that you expand it is by consciously doing things that you don't want to. And it's also by doing things, by not doing something you want to do. Okay. And we'll break that down just a little bit. But when you do something you don't want to do, there is a bit of force required in it. Okay. So if I'm like, hey, I'm going to go sit down and watch TV, that's a cooperative thing. I want to do it and I'm going to do it.
Right.
That doesn't really challenge that part of the brain and expand it. Okay. It's those moments where you have to exert something. You have to exert the force and the encouragement to do it anyway, even though you don't want to. And it's also the force it takes to say, holy cow, I smelled those cookies. I'm not hungry right now. So it's not even about the cookies, remember, people, but I'm smelling these cookies. It smells so good. I want them. And your brain's like, I want them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going, yeah, I recognize that. And I'm not hungry. Right now is not the time that's appropriate for me to eat this because I am managing my weight in this conscious way. And so I'm going to enforce the no on this and say no and not do it, even though there's a push in me. Both of those sides of the force of like, I'm absolutely going to do this, even though I don't want to, or I'm absolutely not going to do this because I'm wanting to. Both of those require some sort of force that when it is obeyed, when you maintain that and you make that choice, this area in your brain expands.
Gets stronger and stronger.
Mm-hmm. And so that's really exciting. This is a fun way for us to bring willpower, which is needed in every area of our life, including conscious eating. And we've talked about this, that sometimes with conscious eating, it's so revolutionary in the most simple way, but it's so revolutionary from the dieting we've done and the mentality, which is awesome. But there is still a need to say no at times for your interest. And it's not about for moral reasons. It's not about because you're never allowed to have it. It's just in certain moments, no is the right answer.
Well, and I think sometimes to put that in perspective, or, let's take it out of the context of even food, but let's say I'm working on a project or something that I enjoy doing. That's totally fine, right? Great, do it, take your break. But like, I've surpassed how much time I should have spent on it, but I'm still going and going and going. It takes that amount. That's where I would have to say, no, you have to get up and move on. Like it wasn't a bad thing that I was doing. It wasn't a poor choice that I was making. It was just, nope, we got to move on. Everything, it was all out of context. I had spent too much time on it. Sometimes going to work out is I really don't want to do this today, but then you're there and everybody knows once you start, you're fine. But it's
exactly
getting there.
That is a great example. I don't think sometimes we realize how much we are exerting our will, right?
Yeah.
Like you said, being in something you're enjoying and needs to get done, but then, hey, it's time to switch gears. I need to do this other thing. And that requires that. So I love this because I even feel within our program and with the coaching we've done that we've always wanted to be so sensitive and undo so much of the damage around deprivation and restriction that I think I honestly, as a coach, haven't focused as much on willpower because I still kind of had that mindset that it's a fight, right? And that is kind of negative connotation. So, even here with you guys, we're learning along and expanding. And this was revolutionary for me
Yeah.
to listen to this and to see that this is something, it's a skill set. It's something that can be developed and expanded. And it's by making those choices consciously of, I'm going to do that. And knowing that every time you're doing that, you're accumulating strength. Just like every time I'm taking myself to the gym and getting to failure in my arms, they're going to grow the muscle. And so this is the good news with willpower.
Mm-hmm.
Great. The other thing that he seemed to be really excited in this when he was talking about it was like how that in one area of life, it doesn't differentiate. It's not like I'm really strong at it with, with food, but in this area in my life, at not yelling at my kids or something, I'm really weak. No, that same muscle is applied easily, and it's transferable everywhere. So it's not like you have to develop one for food. You have to develop another set of willpower skills,
Right.
or how to manage your time. And so that's the encouraging thing about this.
And I'm sure it just trickles over as you strengthen it. You guys know when you feel like you're in that zone, right? Like I call it flow. When I'm working, I'm getting stuff done. I'm moving from one task to the next. It's in every aspect of my life. When I go to eat, I can be a lot more conscious about that. Like it's amazing how it all leads into one, but at the same time, if you're out of balance, and you're not listening and you're not doing, everything can feel out of control.
Yes, so true. And even that with the willpower, if we're not willing to, we've had people say at times, well, I was being conscious, but I wanted it. And so because I wanted it, I decided to. And again, there are the times for that, but you have to understand that any area in your life, if it's going to be well balanced, including your weight, it will require you at times to be absolutely committed to the no. But here's the difference. We don't have to do it from a fear-based, icky place like we talked about in the beginning. There's a difference saying no, I'm not allowed, it's not on my plan, it'll ruin everything. It's really hard to exert control against something when it's building up from that type of energy versus, yes, I'm allowed to do whatever I want with this food, but I'm going to say no, again, to that smell of the cookies. I'm going to exert my will here and say no, even though I want it.
Yeah.
But it's because I know that it will take me where I want to go. And I also know it's because it doesn't mean I can't ever have cookies ever.
Right. It's not a hard no for the rest of your life. Right.
When we've dropped the moral labels on the cookie, when we've dropped the deprivation around a cookie, and we know that there's a place to have the cookie, and we're just choosing in this moment not to have the cookie, then you lose all of that fear and tension and friction, and you just are left with that sense of inner will and control of just saying, yeah, right now is not the right time for this. That's all.
Right. Yeah.
And by doing that and saying, yeah, I'm absolutely not going to do that, even though my brain is telling me I want it. Every time you do that, again, you are developing that strength and that muscle. And the same thing, when I choose to do something that I don't want to, like I prepare something once a week that is good for my gut health. It's something I juice and I take these little shots of it. That has been really good for my digestive system. Well, I don't always want to make it. This past 10 days, I've had a ton of stress. It has been the last thing on my mind. And it's like, hey, more than ever, my body probably needs that to help regulate and reset me. And today I was like, yeah, I'm just going to do it anyway. I'm absolutely going to do this, even when I don't want to.
Right. Right.
And then it takes about 30 seconds and you're like, I'm so glad I'm just doing it.
Yes, absolutely. So
aside from growing that part in your brain, you get the dopamine hit of having done something.
And it rewards you too. You cross it off your list, it rewards you. And now when you need your shot of magic juice, I'll call it, you've got it. It's the same thing if you go to the store and you shop. Some people hate shopping. I don't mind shopping, but when I get home, like if you can prep your vegetables so they're ready to roll, you may not want to, but the rest of the week you're so happy that they're cut up and they're prepped and ready to go. So it can be with anything. Today, I didn't want to, but I had to bathe my dogs. I'm like, I really don't want to bathe. And they didn't want a bath. We were on the same terms, but I'm
Yeah.
like, we're doing it, guys. We're going all in. We're doing this.
Was
Because
that your, I don't, was that
that
your,
was my I don't want a Wednesday, which drum roll, rolling right into it. My I don't want a Wednesday. I've been wanting to bathe my dogs for a week, but every time it's like, well, it's snowing today or it's muddy outside. It was just like, I don't want to do it. Finally, it's like, no, they stink. I need to bathe them. That was my I don't want a Wednesday. But
yes. Yeah.
that's what we're going to talk to you about on how we're going to help you strengthen this muscle. And it doesn't have to be stuff with food. It can be anything you don't want to do. And if you caught our live that we did in our Facebook group, we talked about this briefly. Robin had this great idea a few weeks ago, and then she came across this literature from this man, and it just supported everything we were thinking. And so we still want you to drink water on Wednesdays, and we still want you to walk Wednesdays. We want you to do that other days too. But we're changing it up and doing something you've probably never heard of, and it's called I Don't Want a Wednesday. And
Yep.
we're going to officially start it. I'm going to tell you a date because I don't know when people will be hearing this, but it's going to be in the middle of March. It is going to be on March 13th. And just so you're aware, there will be a prize the first go around because I like prizes, and that's another reward for you.
Yeah.
But you'll get the reward and satisfaction of doing it. But all this encompasses, you can come up with something that's been festering with you. So for example, I was laughing because Robin was talking in the live about the smudges on her door. On my master bedroom door coming out, there's like dark dirt. It's really disgusting, actually. And I'm sure it's from my dog's noses and everything else, right? And so it's like, I see it all the time. It annoys me every time I see it. It's taken so many minutes of my life away going, I really need to clean that. I need to clean that. I do that with my cabinets too. If you look here, I have really light cabinets and they show everything. And I'm like, I really need to clean those. It's time to clean those. So I don't want a Wednesday is picking something that you really don't want to do. It can take you 30 seconds. It can take you whatever. It doesn't matter. And doing it. Because when I got it done, no more am I passing my dogs going, oh, you need a bath. Oh, you need a bath. Don't sit on the couch. You need a bath. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All that time that I spend thinking it is gone. How many times have I thought I need to touch up the paint on that baseboard right there? That puppy, sorry, I have a lot of animals, so that's why I talk about animals a lot, but my puppy chewed up the baseboard. It will take me all of 10 minutes to get the can of paint out, stir it, and put a coat of paint on. But I have thought about it. It feels like for months. The puppies were born in October. October. And so I don't want a Wednesday is going to be the key to helping you strengthen that muscle. And it can be, I don't want to go shopping. And so you go get your groceries. I don't want to prepare for whatever meals I have. It can be anything. Think of the things you don't want to do.
Right. And that is the key. It's something that does require a little bit of that exertion and that force from you. It's not the thing that's like, hey, I've got to go to this appointment and I've been planning to all along. And even though I'm not
Yeah,
excited,
not something you'd normally be doing.
it's not
Something
just like the regular.
extra.
Yeah, it's something that you already articulated, right? Things that you're seeing that the message keeps coming, oh, I've got to get this done. I don't want to. Like, I don't want to work on my taxes, but and I don't have time maybe on Wednesday to do the whole couple hours of it, but can I get started and get going?
Yeah.
Even that is going to help. So yeah, I'm going to be posting my first one, and it was to clean my master doors. I cannot tell you how long that's gone on.
Yeah.
Felt good.
It's so silly too, because when you do it, it's
Yeah.
like literally it took me all of 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I had these beams on my back porch that for years I'm like, I really need to paint those. I really need to paint those. Well, last year, my son's wedding was in my backyard. I'm like, now I have to paint those. So one day I went and got the stain. I get out there, I put the, everything out, I get it done. It probably took me an hour and then another hour because I'd wait for it to dry and then go through and do a second coat. Beautiful. I won't have to do it for at least 10 more years, but I had certainly thought about it for the last 5. And I'm like, oh my gosh. It's just
Yeah.
like, it's funny. It's crazy how we have resistance towards things, but then when you're so satisfied when it's done. It's just
Yeah.
checking it off. And I'm going to use an example that we had used with a client months ago, and I've thought about it a lot. You think about your computer, and I'm going to tell you because I Zoom with Robin and she shares on my computer. She has so many tabs opened across the stream. I'm always like X, 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 but she has a lot of tabs open. Think about your brains and the list of stuff that you have going on, the things you need to do. Like today, one thing I have to go do is I've got to go drop a prescription off. So I've got to find a nook and a cranny to go get it done. But instead of, we have checklists where we check things off. We call it closing tabs on your computer screen. Once you finish it, you can close that tab. You don't have to open it up. It's done. And that's kind of what I Don't Want a Wednesday does. Sometimes there may be things you do weekly that you don't want to do, but, and for everybody, it will be different. And that's what's going to be so much fun is we want you to post in our Facebook group a picture or what you did that you didn't want to do that was different from the norm, that was an accomplishment, and you're like, it was perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. We want to see it. I think it'll be fun. I think we'll enjoy seeing each other's things.
Yeah.
And just kind of to bring it around and talk about how this crosses over, that same will you needed to exert to clean the mirror. You talked about that in the life, to wipe down the mirror is the same, comes from the very same place in the brain that when you're sitting at a restaurant, that you apply your will to order that healthier, more nutritious thing that you know is supporting your goals. Same
Right.
muscle crosses over. So as we're building this and doing it with these little things, and yes, also with food can be part of your I Don't Want a Wednesday, you will see it's that same type of will and the control that you're going to find you can more easily apply to the healthy habits you want with your weight. So we're excited. If you have any of that icky energy around willpower, I hope this podcast really helped you. That's a huge mindset shift, even for me as of recent. And it's going to do nothing but bless us all across the board.
And
So
it's just another tool in your toolbox. Willpower is, when used as a tool to help you, is 100% positive thing.
yeah,
So
exactly.
you
If you're
use it with
not
the
in our,
other tools we've given you, and it'll completely help you with success.
so true. If you're not in our private Facebook group, we will link it in the comments. That's the way you're going to be able to find us and participate in this. And we'll see you there. Thanks, guys.
Okay, bye everyone.